Hey everyone, welcome to my channel for the love of sports. Today we'll be going over the ATP tennis predictions for the tournaments in Barcelona and Munich. We are on a 13 and 6 best bets run, and we will have a best bet at the end of this video that we will talk about. We also do daily shorts whenever we have a best bet. That'll have like a condensed version if you didn't have time for the full video. All right, so the first tournament we'll go over is the ATP Barcelona tournament. We have Carreno Busta versus Arthur Fils. It's their first meeting. I have to give this to Arthur Fils. He looks really good in the last tournament in Monte Carlo. Um, he actually was up a set in the last set against, in the third set against Carlos Alcaraz. If he could have just hold his serve, he would have won. But Alcaraz was not letting that happen, and Alcaraz did go on to win the tournament. So you got to give Arthur Fils some credit for giving him the hardest matchup he probably had. I would leave Arthur Fils in this matchup. I didn't love the price here, so I just laid off of it, but I do think Arthur Fils wins this game. Next, Sebastian, we have Sebastian Baez versus Demir. It looks like Sebastian Baez is 2-0 in the head-to-head so far. Um, Sebastian Baez is easy for me. First of all, he has the head-to-head matchups, but Sebastian Baez in the clay, it's really tough to beat. Unfortunately, I could not include this bet in my best bet because my sportsbook does not show Sebastian Baez's game. I'm not sure if that one's if someone's withdrawing. I'm not sure, but for some reason I can't get that on my sportsbook. So for me, it's a pass. But I would bet Sebastian Baez if I could. Next game we have Stefanos Tsitsipas versus Riley Opelka. It's 1-1 in the head-to-head. But this is not hard courts. If this was a hard court game, you have to give credit to Opelka here, and it would be more of a closer game in terms of price. But I can see why Tsitsipas is minus 600, right? He should take this down. Opelka is more of a hard court player. That's really where his game excels. Opelka's serve should be reduced a bit because of the surface, and that's when Tsitsipas can really take advantage and get a couple breaks. So I will lean Tsitsipas. Next game we have Casper Ruud versus Daniel Galan. Ruud leaves 4-0 in the head-to-head so far, and there's no reason that Casper Ruud shouldn't win this game. He did have kind of a letdown in his last match in Monte Carlo, where he was up in that game and ultimately ended up losing in the third set. But he should be able to take this down, and I do think he'll have a better tournament this go around, I should say. All right, continuing in that tournament, we have Laszlo Djeri versus Arthur Rinderknech. 1-1 in the head-to-head so far. I would lean Djeri. This is, his surface is where he really excels, and I do think he takes this down. He is not part of my best bet though. Next game we have Tomas Echeverri versus Alex de Minaur. 1-1 in the head-to-head, but Echeverri does have the clay win. This was an interesting one. I would have to lean de Minaur, right? He is the better player. He played pretty good in Monte Carlo as well. I was pretty impressed with him. He did lose against Lorenzo Musetti, but Musetti made the final, so again, you gotta give him some credit. Tomas Echeverri, though, I bet him in Monte Carlo early on, and he looked good. He did look good, and I do think he can give de Minaur some problems. I do think this probably goes to 3 sets. I would lean de Minaur, but I do think this is not going to be an easy game for him. Next, we have Frances Tiafoe versus Jamie Munar. It's 1-3 in the head-to-head so far in favor of Jamie Munar. This is just Jamie Munar's surface, right? He loves the surface. This is really like where he, it's Spain. This is really where he should excel. And no reason not to take him here against Tiafoe. I feel like Tiafoe is down. He's what's the word? He's ready for a letdown. There we go. I do think that he probably loses early in this tournament. He's made it far, in the Houston tournament, and he played decently in the last tournament. But I don't think he gets past Jamie Munar here. Last couple of matchups in Barcelona, we have Karen Kachanov versus Cameron Norrie, 4-3 in the head-to-head. Also 2-2 in the clay, so 2-2 in head-to-head in the clay. I have no idea about this one. I really cannot give you a side. It's just gonna be a pass. They're very similar in head-to-head. I don't. Neither of them are in excellent form, so just not something I'm gonna touch. Next, we have Carlos Alcaraz versus Ethan Quinn. Holy, the odds on this game. If you have seen the odds on this game, you know that you cannot touch this game. um, unless you were to take some kind of spread. Just not something I'm going to touch. I do think Carlos Alcaraz in his home, his hometown, he's gonna show out. And he had he just won the last tournament, so he could have just been like, no, I'm not gonna play. But this is Barcelona, he's never not gonna play in Barcelona. So I feel like he's gonna go out and really perform. It should be straight sets. Should be pretty easy for him to take down Ethan Quinn. Um, Next we have Stan Wawrinka versus Davidovich Fokina. Really impressed with Davidovich Fokina in the last tournament. We won a bet with him, and then we lost one, betting against him, and he ended up just playing very well. I mean, he beat Jack Draper. He was playing well throughout that whole tournament, and ultimately he did lose, but he went way farther than I probably would have thought he would have. And he shows that he can play against some pretty good players in the play. So I definitely give the edge to Fukina here. All right, we have the next tournament in Munich. I'm sorry, Munich. We have Jerry Lehechka versus Luciano Dadari. Luciano Dadari leads 1-0 in the head-to-head. Lehechka is a very improved player, but Dardari does like this surface a lot. He did win a tournament earlier this season, I believe, in the clay. I mean, pretty recently actually, and he did look pretty good. So I gotta lean Dardari, even though Jerry Lehechka is an up and comer and he has a lot of talent. This still isn't like his preferred surface, I would say. So I'll lean Dardari. Next we have Batista Agut versus Botic Van der Schop. And this one's a tough one. Van der Schop. I think Botic is more of a hardcore player. I think Batista Agut, this surface should suit him more. This nothing I'm gonna touch, honestly. Batista Agut hasn't been good this year either for me to want to bet him. So just not gonna touch it. Next we have Yannick Hoffman versus Jakob Mensik. So we haven't seen Mensik since he beats Novak Djokovic in the Miami tournaments. Um, Mensik has not performed that well in the clay. Not too much experience. He's a young buck. Yannick Hoffman is more experienced in the clay. He has beat Mensik in the clay, and I do think that he has the edge here. Although Mensik is favored heavily, I do think Hoffman has a good chance of winning this game and even just keeping it close in general. Next, we have Francisco Cerundolo versus Jan Lennard Struff. This is Struff's hometown, so he will want to perform good here. The problem is that he's just been horrible form this year, and Francisco Cerundolo has been in amazing form. Cerundolo on any surface he's played on this year has been excellent. I've taken a lot of bets in his favor, and I do think he wins this one as well. Uh, this is just it's a tough match for Struff. Really tough opponent first round. Next we have Flavio Coboli versus Alexander Shevchenko. This is just Flavio Coboli, or nothing, honestly. Shevchenko has not been good this year. Not really in general, just has not been good. And Flavio Coboli did win that tournament. He beat Sebastian Baez. and he's played a lot better recently. He was having a hard time until he got to the clay, and in the clay he plays his best game. So got a link Kaboli. Next we have Justin Engel versus Fabian Marusan. First first meeting. I don't know too much about Engel. Um, Seems like a young buck. Fabian Marusan should take this. He has more experience. I just don't know, and the price is too high. Same thing with the next one. We have Chapo versus Diego Palomero. Don't know much about him either. So just not gonna touch it. Gotta see more about these young players before I can touch any of those games. Next we have maybe the most interesting matchup here. Hugo Humbert versus Nicolas Jarry. Jarry is the type of player that will perform good in this kind of tournament, in the clay tournaments, right? And Hugo Humbert has not been great recently. He started out the season great, and I really liked betting him. And recently, I did take him one time, I think, and he just didn't perform. He hasn't been performing well in quite a bit. Jadi, hasn't either. To be fair, his form has not been good this year at all. But Jadi's worth a look here. I feel like in the clay. I would have to see the price for sure. I think it's pretty close in terms of odds, but Jadi could take this one. Next thing we have Zuzu Bergs versus Alexander Bublik. This is their first meeting as well. Zuzu Bergs is not really like a clay court, phenom or anything like that. Um, this could go either way. Honestly, I would lean Zuzu Bergs. I think he's a superior player at this moment, but not gonna touch this game. And last we have Mariano Navone versus FAA. FAA, similar to Hugo Humbert, started off the season great, and I loved betting him. And throughout the season, he's just been so inconsistent, and he's just been one of those players that I just can't bet because he'll lose against Daniel Almeyer, and he'll lose against players that he shouldn't, um, players that you think are under him in terms of talent, and he just continues to underperform. Mariano Navone is very good in the clay surface as well, so even more incentive to take Mariano Navone here and fade FAA until he shows me something. All right, and that's it. That's all we have for the predictions for today. So we'll go over our best bet. With our best bet, this is pretty much I don't want to say the worst case scenario, but I did want to take Sebastian Baez in that play. He's just not available on my sports book, so unfortunately I can't take him even if I wanted to. But I do have a three-leg parlay. Again, I know three legs is scary, but I feel pretty confident about the plays. So I have Casper Ruud money line. He is a huge favorite. He's beat his opponent 4 times head to head. Right here, Galan, and he's very good in the surface. Next, let's see, I'm just trying to remember who I have here. I have Cerundolo versus Struff, kind of what I talked about earlier. Yes, I know it's Struff's hometown, but his form has been awful, and Cerundolo's has been amazing. So, gotta take him. And the last game, we took Koboli versus Shevchenko. Koboli has been very good in the clay this season. Shevchenko has not amounted to much this season, is not in the best of form either. So we have that three-leg parlay. And let me check the odds on that right now really quick. We have it for minus 112. So minus 112 is the three-leg parlay. Let's go get a win. Please comment, like, and subscribe on the video. Check out a couple of my other videos for past tournaments. And then also check out the shorts. I make daily shorts showing my betting spreadsheet, showing how much I'm up in profit. And let me know what plays you're tailing or what plays that you find interesting in this match in these couple of tournaments. Thank you guys. Have a good one.